Welcome to the 310 Quick Pod. My name is Koach Kris. This is the famous Palo Stupa. And once again on the floating mic, we've got...
Boom, it's your boy, Will Jones.
That was more musical this time.
Yeah.
Your last one was very subtle.
Sorry.
It was, boom, it's your boy,
Got the
Will
energy
Jones.
in the
It was
house,
like
that's
Barry
right.
White. It was like Barry White.
We've got a live audience in the house, so I got to show out.
He dropped in like that spider from Charlotte's Web, too.
That's right. That's right. We got my sister in the live audience. Carrie Germain is in the studios, the 310 studios. That means the office. Good. Palo, we are back, and what we are doing is we're telling stories. We are collecting stories that happened in the Crucible. So we got to tell your story last time, part of the story. We can only tell like moments inside of it. We got Will and Jen, and
today we're here to hear from you.
It is my turn.
Yeah. So, and I know you've got a hell of a story, so why don't we start off with, when did your Crucible start?
Went straight to it. He goes
right
straight to it. Unbelievable. Well, that is my entire story. My entire story is that the Crucible, which you've been talking about for a long time, like we tried to set up a situation that would most likely go wrong in some way, physically, right? To physically tax us, that would also have to mentally take us over some hurdles. And I was expecting that to come on the night at about 4 a.m. or something like that. And yeah, my story inside of the Crucible is it happened before. My Crucible started a few weeks, maybe even, but I didn't realize it before I tweaked my calf in training. I was completely what I thought. This is a funny thing. I thought that I was kind of experiencing the thing that we were talking about.
Right.
I didn't know that I was not yet experiencing the thing that we were talking about. And what I mean is, you are constantly part of my group of friends that we are challenging each other to go places where we would not go on our own. And that is almost not your sole job in my life for sure, but it is one of the tent poles that is planted in my life. And so you were challenging me. And so the challenge initially was just to say yes to this thing and to start training. And I enjoyed the training. I enjoyed the progress. I'm not a runner. Yeah. And I was a little afraid of what was going to happen to my body.
And it did.
And it did. That's exactly right. It's so funny. And not when I thought it was going to.
Before it started.
Yeah. So I had planned out to do a test, like a 6-hour test, and I saw you, and I'd had a little calf tweak before, but it had healed, and I was able to do some volume again, and I was going to do a 6-hour test inside of this, and I literally passed you, happened to see you on the strand, you're like, go get it, you knew what I was doing.
That's right.
And less than a half mile later, I tweaked my calf in a way that it was going to shut down. And it was awful.
So at that point, did you limp back from, I saw you on the ramp at Avenue C. Did you limp? How the hell did you get up the ramp, first off? Because
I did not. I limped up the stairs because I just kind of kept following my loop. And here's like one of the things that made it particularly awful and that I would struggle with for the next 48 hours is, I had heard stories from you and Coach Jen and Joe about like things happening physically, you know, but because you're doing this event and you push through and the body kind of yields and lets you do it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to keep walking and I'm going to see if I can shuffle stepper. And so I finished out that mile and it was so tight. And I went home, you know, and rested. And I went out for another mile and I walked 2 more miles after that. But it was clear that it was.
Did you think it was going to ebb? Did you think it was going to go away?
That was my hope. My
hope
was hearing that, you know, that you had said that before. And it was just hurting so bad that I was like, there's less than a week, there's a week left. If I just push it this hard, then it may not heal. So I stopped, and it was awful to stop.
And I think I even saw you the next day or the day after at the box, and I could tell you were carrying around, you know, it's like running a race, and then you have a rock in your shoe. And you don't want to stop, so it's there, and you stop. You start to focus on the rock, and you at that point you had that mental rock kind of banging around in your head. I could tell, but you were determined.
Well, that's good that you read that because that's not what I felt. I can tell you that's not what I felt at all. And this was so even that calf tweak. So I had strained my calf before. And I had rested, and within a week, I went to the box, and I did a workout, and it kind of felt loose a couple days later, and so I didn't push it. And then I tested it with, like, box jumps and a run. We had a 200-meter run in one of our you were there for that workout, and I was like, oh, I can run again.
That's when I saw you,
Yeah. But that wasn't this one. You sent, so after this second... The second tweak. The second shooter. The second spitter. After this one, you sent me a text. You said, how'd it go? And I said, I didn't answer for a little bit.
Like a day or two.
Yeah, it was a little. it was a little bit. And the reason why is I was, you know, I was struggling. So I told you what happened. I can't even remember, but I went into the gym and I still had hope that my calf was going to recover and that I would be able to run because of what had happened before. So I was doing all the things to take care of it, and I did a workout. It was just me and Beth in a class, Coach Jen's class, and I knew it just locked. Oh no, it was your class. Was it your class, Coach Will?
It might have been. Right?
It was. Me and Beth in your class. Do you remember? And you're like, can't do round 8? And I was like, I cannot do round 8.
And then after, like, you were laid out on the ground, and you got up, you tried to run backwards and all that stuff down the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I just knew. I was like, it's done. It is done. And it wasn't the same as before. And that's when I got grumpy and rude with poor Coach Jen, who had to do office hours afterwards.
That was a Wednesday.
He went into the death spiral.
Yeah, he did.
I did. And
I left before that happened.
I was depressed, and it was pretty awful. And I was like inconsolable. And one of the reasons why was because, again, I thought that I was experiencing this thing. I was truly enjoying the training for and the striving towards this thing that I wouldn't have signed up for. I'm not a runner. Which is good, you know. I need to be pushed. Even finding our quotes, you know, we're trying to find a quote for the shirt, and so I end up reading all these like Navy SEALs quotes that he quotes all the time and stuff. But as I'm reading them, they're inspiring me, and I'm like, I am in. I am full in. I know how to preach. I know how to teach this. I know how to do this.
Yep.
And then the calf thing happened, and I was depressed, and it was it was hard. It was hard to face people for 24 hours, and I felt like a complete failure. That's the hardest thing, is struggling with my own identity of like, I'm not going to be able to do this thing. And it was rough. And then, like, within 24 hours, I was journaling. I read, pray, write, every morning. And while I'm writing, I think I even read it to you, but I'm writing and, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do this. This Crucible thing is supposed to be this big mental challenge. And I didn't even finish the sentence. And I realized then, I was like, oh, I'm in the Crucible. I didn't even finish you know what I mean? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the Crucible. What you are talking about, it just didn't happen in the Crucible.
That's right.
And it was a godsend moment for me, but it was so weird. It was like the Matrix. It was like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I felt like an idiot. I didn't realize that everything that we're supposed to be learning for the purpose of this exercise, who cares if we struggle in an exercise and we don't learn anything for the rest of our lives? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in it right now. And it helped a little bit and all of a sudden I started getting an idea, and I decided that I just went inside and I researched like how many bike miles compared to 1 mile for exertion level. And there was a lot of questions on there, so there was a lot I could feed to, and I just suddenly made a plan to bike instead of run.
And that's around the time we connected, because I didn't hear anything, and then I heard, I think through the grapevine, that you had a moment, and right away because this had happened with somebody else that was going to row, right? They ended up walking, and you had already figured out, hey, I'm going to do the bike. It's a 3-to-1. I got it. I got this thing. And we're like, bitchin', you're in it.
Yep. And
then we get going, and something amazing happened again for you.
Something amazing happened. So my true Crucible experience happens before that, except for this other thing, which I just didn't plan on. And my plan was to bike, and I get my bike ready. These great guys at the bike shop, which I got to give them a shout out for, they were so great. And it's a new bike shop. I cannot remember these guys and their bike names, so I'm going to have to go flash it up there and advertise for them. But these guys were so great. They took care of me. And I'm ready to start, and this was something that was because of you as well. You were going to have your kids participate, and you were like, should I get, kid sizes for you? You asked me that, and I said, I don't think so. I'd like to, but I don't think so. And you were like, let's do it. I'm getting them shirts. And let's invite them into this. Mm-hmm. And because you said that, because you actually had the shirts was a big thing. Yeah. And it turned out to be a huge thing for me, because I realized, and you're a dad, and you spoke to me and you said, you want to invite them. We want to give them, even if they do one lap, we want them to remember this as something that happened and they were invited in and they were a part of it. And which is like my heart. And so again, used that moment. So we got shirts, and
including Tawny, who
yep, she's not been running, she's not been doing anything. We didn't talk about it at all. So whole family has shirts, and I bring them out, and I'm like, hey, I'm just about to start. And I asked Tanya, I was like, you want to do it? And she's like, and she's like, okay. And everybody's like, except for Parker, my youngest. It was amazing. I was like, Parker, I'm just about to start the Crucible. You want to go run with Dad? Yeah, I want to run with Dad. I want to run with Dad. And I was like, thank you, God, for this little girl. Because everybody was kind of like on the edge, like it was right. It was like a bullet of joy, which is kind of her job in our life when she's not crying and complaining. But it was so good. So we all throw the shirts on. And we make this little video to start. I was so happy to have them around me. And that moment with all of our shirts on changed my night, changed my future, changed my perspective, everything. It was my second kind of crucible moment. But I couldn't bear to ride my bike while my kids were running, you know, and they knew about my calf and stuff. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to walk. And so they started off. And I just started. I was like, gosh, I've tried everything but running weird.
That's right.
And so I just started running like an old pirate.
That's why I'm laughing. He told me this. Which, by the way, fast forward 12 hours, and we're all walking like Woody in Toy Story. You know,
we are. Yeah, we are.
But I could do it.
Yeah.
And then Tawny starts to run too. And it was such a rush for me. And it's like the smallest, this is only a Chris Germain thing. Like I don't think it would resonate with other people. You wouldn't be able to see it. But I was filled. My family filled me up. And we did a lap together. And because of them, I was able to walk inside of it. And my wife, who hasn't been running or training, she runs a whole mile with me. And we walk back, we go watch the sunset and take a couple of pictures. And then all of a sudden, it's like I'm baptized for the next 6 hours. And these kids, they're like pacers for me. And they go inside, and I was like, you can stay up as late as you want. You know, and that was like the big event. Like they weren't in it for the running. Yeah. They were in it for the TV and the late night and the pizza.
Right.
And, you know, and it was great. They loved it. But they all, they all came out with me, and 11 o'clock was the first hour that I went by myself, and I wanted to.
And that's amazing. I mean, so how many miles did you get in walking total?
6.
That's
yeah,
it. I mean,
I got 6, and that was the thing. I didn't think I could even do 1. I told Beth the day before, I was like, I don't even think I can run 200 meters. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing I didn't try was running just weird. And it did get better. Like another thing, like it got better. So I also had like that kind of lived out moment of when you're doing an event and sometimes the body yields. And it did. At 11 o'clock while I was watching my own shadow, I did decide, I was like, oh my gosh, that's horrendous. I was like, I better get on that bike and go to 310.
Yeah.
But yeah, my experience then had to do with people at 310 and seeing everybody congregate there. And
for me, that was one of the highlights. That was actually, you know, I got over here and I saw you and I saw you and I saw other people, and it was like, I got a boost, right? And it was fun watching you bike.
Yeah.
You know, back and forth as well. Everyone was kind of doing their thing, but that's amazing. And, it was great to see you the next day as well. I mean, you finished your crucible, but really that was the physical part. You were still there to cheer us on and to communicate what other people were doing, and then, you know, the finishing line was just an unrepeatable, magical moment for all of us. And you were there, and you helped orchestrate all that, and it just, you know, none of that would have happened had you let, you know, the calf cramp get in your way.
Absolutely.
And,
well, that was part of it. Like my what I learned about for myself for sure. And I, you know, people was everything, you know, but it was amazing that being part of it was people. Like I wanted to do this with you guys. That was everything. I just wasn't driven other than that. I wanted to participate with you. When it looked like I couldn't participate in the same way, I was devastated. And then it was my people, like my personal family, that like really just, they gave me such a boost. It was unbelievable for me. It was paradise.
And how'd they feel when the whole thing was said and done and you had completed it? And
it was good. I'm not sure that they had. Tawny was really happy. I mean, Tawny did 4 miles. She hadn't run or done anything. Her knees have been hurting. Her back has been hurting. She's been working a lot. So she was so impressive to me. And so running with her inside of it was great. She had to work at 4:00 in the morning the next day. So I was so thankful for her. She was a huge driver for me. Even it couldn't have been just the kids.
No.
But my wife next to me and going down and watching the sunset together. It was just because there was time, like inside of this game, inside of this weird endurance game, there was enough time to go down and watch the sunset together, and it lit me up.
Yeah.
And it was pretty fun to watch in myself. I'm like, oh, that would even surprise me. I know I love people, but that surprised me. And the finish, getting to walk a couple extra miles with you guys and getting to go see Jason Gallagher, like those are huge. Like that's what populates my perspective of the Crucible. And it was incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing. And, you hear these stories, too, whether it's a marathon or a Spartan or any other race, people just naturally will help each other out, whether it's, they call it the hand of God, where I've learned you pat someone just for 30 seconds and they get re-inspired, or they need a boost over a wall or anything. I mean, we're naturally, I think, predisposed to help each other out. And I think part of this was all of us getting together and doing something really hard. And I knew we were each going to need each other. I already knew that going in. I think if you didn't, you figured it out pretty quickly. And we did. And I think doing it alone is one thing, but being able to share it and participate with other people and know that, you help someone out and it came together. And hearing the stories, I mean, it's just, it's priceless.
Stories are so good.
Yeah.
And so much of hearing the stories is you don't know. How could you know this story? You can't know the story because most of it's inside of me. And I didn't know yours until I was right with you and we were talking about it while we were going. It was so good. Talking with Mark while we were doing that second mile, having Tom come and tell, and Ryan. I mean, it's just one after another, getting to interview your family.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think there are a lot of, it was interesting how some people would peel off and they'd bump into other people, just when that individual, when they both needed it, right? There was a lot of this spontaneous interaction just happening as if, somebody put it together and it was happening all over the place, and that was pretty cool. I heard a lot of those stories.
It was amazing. I mean, it was so funny. I'll tell you what, when I see somebody running right now, I'm like, I wonder if they're doing the Crucible, even though there is no Crucible out there. But it's just like an immediate thing. I'm like, no, they're just jogging. Of course, they're just running. But it's so funny. It's really imprinted on me right now. And dude, we got to experience something that you have been. It was almost a wish for me to come with you into some of this, and I appreciate the taste of it. And
well, listen, I appreciate. I mean, this place is special to me and to you and the people that come here, and I appreciate you putting it literally all on the line and opening up and giving us the opportunity to do it, because there was a lot that you had to orchestrate and support and to get this thing going. I mean. And we're thankful for it. And it ended up being just an amazing, magical, amount of time that we were all either in our head solo or with a group of people doing. And I hope to do it again. I've got some ideas for the next one.
Let's do it.
I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I want to do it again too, bro. It was good. It was that good.
I got something new for you.
Oh, yeah.
Stay tuned.
All right.
That's fantastic.
Paolo, thank you so much for coming and talking with me and swapping stories back and forth. Will Jones on the floater mic. Thank you, dude.
So much fun.
All right.
Well, great. Absolutely.
This is the quick. This is the 310 Quick Pod. Thanks for watching.
And we out. Peace.